Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsessions
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hello and welcome to the Dork Forest. It's Jackie-cation and it's May. I will tell you that May, I'm all over the place. I am in Boston doing the Women in Comedy Festival the weekend of the 8th, May 8th. I am working all over Los Angeles doing various headlining sets for Andrei Belikov, who I don't know very well, but has booked me in things like Goleta, so you can check my schedule on my website. I'm in Scottsdale at Stand Up Scottsdale the weekend of the 23rd and 24th, and I'm in Tacoma, Washington, outside Seattle in its own city called Tacoma, Washington, the last weekend of May. And then the first weekend of June, I'm doing AnimeCon again, A-Con in Dallas. Live Dork Forests, stand-up comedy. That's right. JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. Those are the websites. Mike Rickberg just sang that song he composed with his girlfriend, Sarah Cohen, and he will sing the Mexican Hat Dance at the end of the show. Patrick Brady will fix this audio. And then Vilmos just updated my website, JackieCation.com, with some new headshots and stuff for people, and a really great picture of me and Tiberius that the headshot guy took. Also on my website, there's plenty of merch. Dork Forest t-shirts, the new CD, the new DVD. This will make an excellent Horcrux. So go for it. There's also a link on there to the $5 download of the DVD show if you just want to download it and watch it that way. The DVD has one bonus track, and that's exciting. You could also just donate. Donate to the show if you are enjoying the Dork Forest. $8.33 a month is $100 a year, which is what I was hoping from each and every Ranger. $100 a year. $8.33 a month. I haven't made it easy. You're going to have to remember to do it. $8 in there. But there's a donation button on dorkforest.com, tdf.libsyn.com, and JackieCation.com. Turns out there's donation buttons around. This month's episode is sponsored by my sister, and there is an ad. She's a helper Magoo. She's a financial advisor with RBC Dane Rauscher, and she's a good egg. So if you are looking for financial advice, I would recommend that you get in touch with my sister, Darla Cation, and you can hear her ad now. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
At RBC Wealth Management, social responsibility starts at the top. As a part of the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC has been recognized among the world's financial, social, and environmental corporate leaders. Our sense of responsibility extends to our reputation for putting clients' interests first. My personal commitment is to help you achieve your financial goals by also considering sustainable and responsible investing strategies. To learn more, visit www.darlacashin.com. RBC Wealth Management, a division of RBC Capital Markets, LLC. Member NYSE, FINRA, SIPC.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Women in Comedy Festival, Boston, Massachusetts. I know. It's good times. Here we are. It's exciting. That was, of course, Mike Rickberg. Mike Rickberg composed and sang that song, and he'll sing again at the end. But I have handed out for this very special live. We can all sing the Mexican Hat Dance at the end, a cappella. And I got an okay from Mike Rickberg that we can all do that. You can go to MikeRickberg.com and see his other musical works, cause that he wrote just for me cause he's hilarious. Anyway, Patrick Brady's gonna fix this audio, and, Vilmos does my website, which is JackieCation.com. This is downloadable on iTunes. It's also on DorkForest.com, on AllThingsComedy.com. So, let us begin here on whatever day it is in May 10th or 11th. Sure.
Sounds about right.
It's a Saturday, whatever that would be. And sitting with me, the lovely and talented Julie Klausner. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Julie Klausner, you might know her from the Twitter. That's where I found out about her. And then I saw that you had a book, so I bought that book on Amazon through the banner at Jackie-cation. No, I didn't. It's called, I Don't Care About Your Band.
Yeah.
And it was very funny, collection of essays, personal stories, very funny stuff. And,
thank you.
Yeah, it was, so, JulieKlausner.com, clearly,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
You were hilarious. You talk out of your joke hole. and you
My
and-
mouth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And,
That's not what I call it.
Do you just call it your mouth because you're an adult lady?
Something else I call my joke hole. or J-hole for short.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You made it ethnic. Okay, so
No, my name is Julie.
No, I know.
All of my holes are J-holes.
all of them are
technically.
J-holes.
Yeah.
My name is Jackie. Yes,
Yeah.
I like that.
We have the same initials.
Oh, right, JK.
Which is one of those things where, when you're a comic and people say, oh, JK, you're like, just kidding.
I know the weirdest thing about that is that I didn't know that JK stood for just kidding until about 7 years ago.
It's recent for people with those initials, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Other female comics, Jen Kirkman, Jessie Klein.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Jennifer Curson.
Who's
Is that correct?
I don't know who that
is. Is that
is.
right? What? Jessica.
Oh, Jessica Kirsten. No,
Thank
that's
you very
great.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Jessica
Exactly.
Kirsten. Yeah.
There we
so
go.
we do a tour
Yeah, we could all just JK it out.
Right.
And there could be a weird freak show theme.
called Just Kidding.
Just kidding.
And then there's no tour at all.
And then we would all just cut ourselves.
Because we're sleepy. And we don't feel like doing it.
Yes. So I asked you what your dorkdom was.
Yep.
And you're a New York comic.
I am.
And and you said you rattled off like a litany, and the thing all they had in common were big personalities.
Yeah.
And so it was Broadway.
Yeah.
You live in New York City, so
I
you get
do.
to see a lot of shows.
I like theater a lot. I grew up with theater and been a musical theater geek
Musical
for
theater.
quite some time. Yeah.
I just saw that 6 by Sondheim documentary.
Oh, we should talk about that.
Yes.
He wasn't in a relationship until he was how old? 65 or something?
Beacon
or
of
60?
Hope.
It was
Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah.
Beacon of
It was
Hope.
the first time that,
Yeah.
that Stephen Sondheim had ever been in a committed relationship. He's got there's so many fascinating things about him personally, in addition to artistically. You want to know what his process is, but you're also like, why, what's his relationship like with his mother that was so terrible that he found, the Hammerstein, he found, what is that called?
Oh, right. He was hanging out with
Hanging out with Hammerstein,
Oscar
looking for
Hammerstein
another,
family.
sort of parent. And
Yeah.
and I love that documentary. I could talk about that.
Yeah, it's a good one, and it's only an hour and a half. See, the thing is, I don't know anything about Sondheim. Did he do Gigi?
No.
Okay.
No. He did not do Gigi.
There was a clip of it in the documentary, and I was like, "Oh, I've seen that one."
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Gigi, for those who don't know, is completely a perverted, terrible, creepy.
Oh,
it's worse than Lolita.
I loved it as a child.
Me too. And then
which
you
is
grow
so
up and you look
weird.
back and you're like, oh no, this is about a man who tutors a little girl and waits for her to get old enough so he can fuck her.
Right. It's very much, she's being raised by her aunt and her mother, who are courtesans, and to be a courtesan, and then he's just hanging out. He's just hanging out, but then he's like, no, this is going to be great.
Yeah, and then in the third act, he has this song where it's called Gigi, and he's just like, Gigi, what happened? You became a woman, and now I want to have sex with you.
Right, because
and,
I'm 30 and you're still 16.
Yeah.
And
that was the big moment, and then you look back and you're like, no,
not cool.
that's terrible.
Not cool, brother. Yeah, you want to just, but I loved it so much.
I love that you didn't know anything about Sondheim and you saw it, and because I actually heard that again from someone else who didn't really know anything about him, and they were really fascinated by. He's just a very particular kind of genius, honestly. He's like watching a documentary about Picasso and not knowing anything about Picasso.
Right. You're like, what did he do with the nose? Why over there? And,
yeah.
And then you find out that Picasso could draw regular.
Right. He knew where the nose went.
Yep.
And he put the nose where it needed to go.
On purpose.
And then he undid it so he could put the nose different places.
I know. And he was, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
so yeah, musicals, musical theater, and then,
did you like the regular Hammers?
Obsessions.
Do you like the?
No, I'm not. First of all, thank you for that question. That's such a good question. I love talking about that. I'm not an Oscar Hammerstein, Rodgers and Hammerstein or Rodgers and Hart person. I really like, musical theater that comes a little bit later.
Is it because you think you were introduced later to it all?
Possibly, but also because by the time I did sort of it's it's sort of growing up with rock and roll and then learning about things that came before rock and roll and just sort of thinking they're cheesy or corn, like Oklahoma and South Pacific. I just never connected to them as a kid, and then certainly now.
Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz is great, but the Wizard of Oz is also one of those like movie musicals, not a stage musical. So that's kind of, it's in its own like weird realm.
Right. Cause I was raised with all of the, you know, like I love Guys and Dolls and I loved all of that stuff because that's what my mom loved. That's what my stepmom loved. And so that's what I got into. And then, I didn't. And so then when I was dragged to see Phantom of the Opera, I was like, what's going on?
I'm sorry.
Why is this person still talking?
Well, Phantom of the Opera is part of,
a different genre entirely.
Here's the genre. It's responsible. One man is responsible for it. His name is Cameron McIntosh.
Well,
Cameron
let's find that
McIntosh
gentleman.
is the producer of Cats, Miss Saigon, Phantom of the Opera. He basically introduced, and those are different composers, by the way. Those aren't all Andrew Lloyd Webber. But he is someone who brought that giant kind of event style musical from
and some people love those, and I don't mean to shit on those people, but I mean I don't genuinely get it.
No, it's
so
a spectacle.
I'll get that dork on next time.
You're a tourist and you are in New York City, which is already expensive, and you're going to pay a lot of money to see something. You want to see a chandelier drop. You want to see a helicopter land on stage. You want to, see. It was Cats. There was a giant boot that like fell on the stage, and that was like it was worth the money.
Who wrote Flower Drum Song? Because I remember Flower Drum Song. That was more of a 50s, 60s kind of thing, right?
Anybody know? Is that Rodgers and Hart? Or Rodgers and Hammerstein?
Anyone got a Flower Drum Song?
Can somebody Google?
I wish there was some sort of device.
Yeah, can somebody Google so I don't feel
Yeah, but
stupid.
It could be.
But that was it was very racist.
Very racist, but the weird thing is I always thought of it as the precursor to Miss Saigon, because Miss Saigon not that racially sensitive.
No, not at all. No, it was like the love story. Who wrote it?
It was
Hammerstein?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was I Enjoy Being a Girl.
Right, But South Pacific, that has that great song about you got to be carefully taught. That's one of my
Happy
favorite.
Talk?
No, Carefully Taught. It's
Carefully Taught, sure.
Yeah, that's the beautiful one about
South
racism.
Pacific
That's
or
South
King
Pacific.
and I?
No, that's South
That is South
Pacific.
Pacific?
I never did see the end of King and I because I understand he dies at the end.
Fine. You don't need to see the end. You don't need to see the end of King and I to get the gist of King and I. There's nothing you're missing, like by not seeing the second half of King and I.
I didn't.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was babysitting. I came home from babysitting and I said, "Oh, the King and I is on." And Nancy goes, my stepmom, she goes, did he die yet?" And I was like, "What?"
Oh, Nancy.
I know it. She
But
ruined.
That was also part of the great
Citizen
tradition
Kane
of
as well.
casting Caucasian actors to play ethnic roles. And like, in Bye Bye Birdie, they got Janet Leigh to play, the role that Cheetah Rivera made famous. Who was literally like referred to in the script as a Latin American character. It's like, oh, I wonder if we can't find any Hispanic people in like 1966, really?
Especially anywhere.
Let's get Janet Leigh to dye her hair black. This is terrible.
I know. I think it was, Charlton Heston. Didn't he play, not Cesar Chavez, but he played somebody.
Che Guevara? Well, Mandy Patinkin played Che Guevara on stage, which is the funniest thing in the world. Because that was before people started wearing t-shirts with Che Guevara on them.
Right.
Yeah, and I always said I would love to have a t-shirt with Mandy Patinkin as Che Guevara on it. And approximately 5 gay men would smile at me while I walked around, and that would be it. As opposed to the 7 or 8 that usually do.
Right. Just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, look, she's put together.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I like the collar. I like that.
Thank
It's
you.
a very cute dress.
Thanks.
So here's the thing about so have you seen all of Sondheim's work?
I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with his oeuvre.
Okay.
But then I have a couple of favorites that I've seen over and over and really, really love.
Which are?
Sunday in the Park with George, Company.
Okay.
And what's
Company?
the third one? Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah,
okay.
those are like my 3
he did
Sondheim. Yeah, he did Sweeney.
I've seen Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd is so awesome, and there's a rumor that's unsubstantiated, but it's like scuttlebutt that he wrote the entire first act in one sitting high on cocaine.
Oh, weird.
And this was a tremendous advertisement for cocaine. But
Get out there, people with disposable income. Get out
exactly, with a lot of it. But when you go back and you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, there is a lot of momentum. And then the second act, there's like a bunch of different tangents where like, oh, let's go to the insane asylum and find hair for wigs. And you're like, you weren't high now. Like, this is you like grasping at straws. The first one was just like, and then he's back at the barbershop and then he's at the, it was just
Right.
very, very, very like.
Did you see I saw Into the Woods with Bernadette Peters in a video. And that was neat. That was
They're doing
great.
the movie, the Meryl Streep is in it and
Some of the great, he has some of the greatest lines. Prince Charming says, I'm charming. I'm not sincere.
Yeah.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
It's like, I never said I was sincere. I'm charming or something.
He thinks about stuff, which is different than a lot of people who wrote musicals were like, da 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 da. Where's lunch? You know?
Right. I have recently been talking a lot about chess, which is one of the great topics you want to do as a musical is the gripping world of chess competition.
Yeah. Of anything that could be more, theatrical, dramatized.
Who's gonna win?
Well,
how long will they sit here and stare?
Who wins is ABBA, as always. ABBA wins because
and we all win when ABBA wins.
He wrote the score to chess, which is why it's so fucking weird. It's like Bangkok, Oriental City, just like nothing you've ever heard before. And early 80s, just like explosions in your ears, and it's fascinating, right?
Yeah, it is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
And then there was did they write Mamma Mia too?
Well, Mamma Mia was one of the first jukebox musicals, and jukebox musicals came about around the late 90s as a way to just put the songs that people already know on stage, and it was almost like a writing exercise. You're like, all right, take everything Billy Joel ever wrote and make a story about it.
That's right. They did one for him. Did they ever do it? I always wanted to do one for Air Supply, but nobody. It was just like the keening. I think the keening would have really killed us all.
That would have been not only great, but very cheap. I bet you would have gotten their whole catalog for
just pennies on the dollar.
Yes. No, there was a Beach Boys one that failed.
Billy Joel for
so
sure.
Many. The Twyla Tharp choreographed, and it's its own genre. Jersey Boys is a jukebox.
Okay.
Yep.
So are there new ones? Like who's writing them now?
Everybody, because nobody wants to spend that much money on a ticket to something that they don't really either know the story already or they don't know the songs.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of a glut of, lack of originality to some extent, but at the same time, you understand
because they have to fill the rooms? Is that what they're doing?
There's so much, you know how much it costs to see a show on Broadway? It's like at least, $200, and you have a family that you're visiting, and it's insanely
It's thousands
expensive.
of dollars.
Yeah, so you do want to see, they just put Aladdin up on stage, they keep redoing movies and stories that people know.
Okay. And what about, then the movement to ice?
Yes. That's the height. That's the height of theater.
Because it's the next thing, isn't it? Like it's a musical.
Everybody wants to be on ice. Yeah, it's true.
And it's always a Disney thing. They move it to ice eventually.
Sondheim on ice does not work. Sondheim on cocaine works beautifully.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just. So, what are your favorite musicals?
Well, those Sondheims they're really very, very,
Close
there's,
to your...
There's
What's
one.
Company? What is that one?
Company is about a single guy who's about to turn 30, and he is in sort of this crisis about whether or not he should settle down. And he looks around and all of his friends are married and he's still single, and he kind of is dealing with this lack of commitment that he wants to.
In the documentary, would he have said that that's the one about being married?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's the one that has, here's to the ladies who lunch. That one. The Lane Fitch sings. And but it's very much about, why settle down?
Okay.
And a lot of it has to do with company. You just want company when you're getting older, and it's not necessarily about sex or passion or drama.
Right. And then he waited another 30 years to meet a nice young man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, there are theories that the lead character Bobby in that show is gay, and they are doing a gay version of Company, which is, everyone likes to joke is redundant, but they are doing a version in which Bobby is gay, period, the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fair enough. It's
But growing up, I liked, I was a little kid in the 80s. So what does that mean? Cats. It means Annie.
Oh, right.
It means, like my
was
grandmother.
Annie written in the 80s?
Annie was written in the 70s, but it really became successful in the late 70s, early 80s. And then when I was a little kid, the movie came out, and that was huge. And you're like a redheaded little kid. And it was just really, really appealing to me.
Yeah. They're doing a new one. They
are doing a new one, which looks unspeakably horrible. That they cast Cameron Diaz to play Miss Hannigan. Like, think about that. Or don't think about it.
Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. You'll start tearing your clothes. It's like that guy who took bath salts and bit up the guy's face. Like, he wasn't on bath salts. He just heard that Cameron Diaz was playing Miss Hannigan.
It's like, I have a really hard time with Cameron Diaz.
Everybody does.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's not just me.
No.
She was the best thing in the worst movie I ever saw.
Which one?
The Counselor.
I didn't see The Counselor.
The worst, with the greatest cast ever.
What was that movie?
It was essentially, it was written by the guy who won the Pulitzer, who wrote The Road.
Okay. Cormac McCarthy?
Yeah, Cormac McCarthy wrote this. It was the first script he wrote.
So it was
after
like a drama
Fargo.
that she
and
ruined?
it was a mess. No, she was the best thing about it, and she was a mess in it. And everyone was in it, it was
like
the cast
good
was the most. Brad Pitt was in it.
Oh, really?
And it was a cast of the who's who of Hollywood,
and she was the best.
And she was the best part of it. But there was a scene where she is supposedly making love to the windshield of a hot car.
What?
Yeah, and essentially the greatest line in the movie was it was like looking at a sea anemone, doing just pressed against the windshield of a car, and that was the best line in it. But it was essentially like Cormac McCarthy's left testicle writing to his right testicle. It was the worst fucking thing I've ever seen.
Who played
in my life?
What was the counselor?
Javier.
Javier Bardem.
Yes,
and
it was
the counselor. He was the counselor.
It was so Please Google the counselor.
Who's the Googler in this audience?
It's that nice lady
over there.
There we go.
The
well
Googler.
played. And it was one of the. It was foul. It was horrible.
Did you last through the whole thing, or did you walk out of the theater? Did you see it at home?
No, I had to watch it for Al Jackson's podcast.
Oh, it was an assignment.
It was an assignment, and I had to watch it online, so I couldn't fast forward.
Oh no!
It was one of my. It was a terrible day. So IMDb the counselor, please, and please read me who the stars are. Michael Fassbender. That's it.
Very attractive.
He was the lead, and there was the first scene had not Cameron Diaz, Penelope Cruz and Michael Fassbender.
I would like to watch all these people have sex.
Right. Well, and you get to, except for that, it is not interesting.
Yeah.
And
except for the windshield wiper.
The
windshield, not the wiper. I mean, she's the wiper, I guess.
Thwack, thwack. Yeah. And Michael Fassbender and Penelope Cruz are doing it underneath a sheet for far too long.
Yeah.
As the opening scene.
Under a sheet.
I know it. I
Get
would like
the
to see
camera
that
under there.
shoulders.
Yeah,
let's
get
see.
under the sheet.
That guy is doing some sit-ups. Let's check that out. And so it was Penelope Cruz, Cameron Diaz, Michael Fassbender, Javier Bardem. Okay.
I don't know who Natalie Dormer is.
I'm uncertain about Natalie's career, but and she's on Game of Thrones.
Pretty girl. So we want to watch her have sex too.
A lot of good-looking people.
Right, and it was terrible.
And it was terrible. It was genuinely spare yourselves.
I have a very disturbing fact about Cameron Diaz. Well, it's related to Cameron Diaz, but it's not about her. It's about this character.
She would prefer that.
You don't know, though. You don't know where this is going, Jackie. This is the most upsetting thing I've ever heard. This is so upsetting. So I don't know how many of you follow, New York tabloids, but there's this tabloid character I'm obsessed with that the New York Post covers constantly. His name is the Cannibal Cop. Have you guys heard of the Cannibal Cop?
Cannibal Cop?
Don't applaud. That is like the least appropriate. No, I know it's good that you know who he is, but it's just funny that he got his own hand. It's like, from Philadelphia. You're like, yeah, it's like different.
Right.
So there was a New York City policeman who got arrested, because his wife found this, like, his internet search history is going on these, like, psychosexual message boards and talking about how he planned to kidnap. Oh, coffee's here.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you,
Cannibal
Elise.
Cop.
Thank you. We'll
Just
get back
in
to time.
it.
We'll get right back to
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Molly. Who's
Molly?
Who clearly went and got the coffee.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought that was like, God, what a fucking idiot spelled my name wrong.
Julie.
Well, don't you love it when people on Twitter or Facebook, like, or Instagram show a photo of like their names being spelled crazy and they're like, can you believe it? They spelled my name incorrectly. It's like fucking white people. You should be so lucky that you have $5 for a cup of coffee, piece of shit. That person doesn't know how like Kinsey is spelled is the worst part of your day. Like, fuck you. Try to get a job somewhere, you know?
A friend of mine named her kid Mairead, and she's a very nice kid, but her name is Mairead, and I always call her Muad'Dib, which is from Dune.
Oh, it is. That's funny. All right. So there's a cannibal cop. The cannibal cop, his name is Gilberto Valle, and I'm obsessed with the case because basically he never killed and ate anybody. So he's not a successful cannibal. And he was a less successful cop because he kept a record of everything and it was all just like these dirty fantasies about how like, oh, thank you, Jackie. How he wanted to like kidnap a lady and like cut her up and, fucking fricassee her.
Oh, weird.
And like eat her. And yeah, it was all just like this stuff that no one should, like use the internet
That's an inside
to
your head
express.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they found all these images on his computer and then they, what is that called when they cross-examine you? Or not a cross-examine, but like, cause he wasn't
Debrief?
in court. Yeah, they debriefed him and
Deposition?
he admitted that what started off his, obsession was he was obsessed with the movie The Mask. And he said he used to watch it and he got very excited.
I always get the Mask and Mask mixed up. Cher
No,
or the other one?
First of all, Jim, both of those movies are equally disturbing to be sexually excited by.
It's true.
But no, the Mask with Jim Carrey and our friend Cameron Diaz when he was going around and he would go smoking and he would also say, somebody stop me. And you were like, what the fuck am I watching? But it was the 90s. It was the 90s.
Great. So what's the 411 on that? No,
so what happened was he said, what was the 411 on that? So the cannibal cop said there was a scene in The Mask in which Cameron Diaz was tied up and Jim Carrey, she was tied to a bomb and then like he took the bomb and he ate it. And he burped a little bit of smoke. And I
remember the hilarity of that scene.
Yeah, it was so funny. And so he said when he saw that really turned him on and that was what got him into fantasizing about, eating women.
So being
I'm not saying
up.
the story tracks. I'm just saying that, and I love Gothamist. It's one of my favorite websites because they post all the trashiest tabloid stories from New York.
And what website is that?
At Gothamist.com. And so they follow, if their Cannibal Cop tag is that is an essentialist version of this story. So they actually, God bless them, watched the movie and pulled that very clip to have it embedded next to the story. And you watch the clip and you're like, now I'm never going to sleep at night. Now that for some reason this is now the most disturbing thing in the world.
This is a fun fact that I like to share whenever something it's sort of a nicer thing. Barry Manilow's safe word is apricot.
Stop it. Is this a bit?
No.
How do you know that?
Somebody told me. Somebody told me in Vegas that Barry Manilow's safe word was apricot.
Stop that.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying pass it on.
So if I go to one of his shows and he's like, good evening, I'm like, apricot, like he won't play any music. Is that the idea?
No, really, it softens him up.
Yeah. He'll just,
because he can't get hard.
He'll lose his erection immediately.
Yeah, lose his erection if you yell the word apricot.
That's crazy.
That is, I don't know that's just a fun fact that someone told me.
The other thing that they found on his computer, sorry, I'm just going back to the Cannibal Cop for a little bit.
Yeah.
They found like these, so I'm really interested in like really like some like weirdos who have weird things, and a lot of it has to do
killer weirdos or
yeah,
any
both.
weirdos?
Any kind of like psychological deviance I'm always sort of fascinated by, because people are so fucking boring and it's always the same thing all the it's like, oh wow, the weather could be worse, So
At least you don't have to shovel it.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, they found these drawings. His version of porn is like a lady, like a photograph of a lady photoshopped to be on a spit, like over a fire,
Oh, wow.
And then there was a drawing, because it's not, I don't know if the same thing goes with child pornography. Like if you draw it, it's not, I bet it is. I bet it still is. If you
Wait, is there a rule if you draw it?
I think
I don't think it's called a rule.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah, it's a guideline. No, I think it's
a suggestion about child pornography.
Either way, it's unideal to have on your computer. But he did have a drawing of a lady with like, okay, this is so upsetting and gross, but hopefully because I'm saying it out loud, it'll be funny and we'll all be okay with it, or at least just less disturbed. So there was a drawing of a guy putting like a naked lady in a one of those Bugs Bunny stew pots, and she had a carrot in her pussy. And there was like word bubbles where she was like, oh, I can't wait to like, as soon as like I die, then I'm going to come. And you're like, that doesn't make sense.
No, that's just bad writing.
Yeah.
I do wonder about, there's just a level of pornography where we're all just like, you're like, what more and more does it take to get us off, right?
Yeah. And I think the internet is, well, I mean, it's easier to find whatever is, weirder than
like the weird rabbit hole that does lead you to these places. But
then what you were saying is like, at what point do you get there because nothing else works?
I have an unsubstantiated theory I've just made up, and I'm going to call it the Watership Down theory. In Watership Down, the rabbits must create a new warren because there are too many rabbits. And I don't know if you know this about rabbits, but rabbits will self-abort if there are too many rabbits. It's a natural selection thing.
They'll die or they'll kill themselves.
The lady rabbits will have abortions. Their bodies will, if there's too many rabbits in a warren.
They'll shut that whole thing down.
They'll shut that. It turns out women, if they're raped, have a certain skill where they can just
rabbits.
abort.
They become bunnies.
No. What happens is, so if there's too many rabbits, they self-abort, but if they do it more than like 2 to 4 times or whatever, it will kill them. Like essentially their body will go, well, this isn't working out.
It's like when you try to enter the wrong password on a website and it's like, you gotta give up.
Exactly. It's almost exactly like that. And it sends, and what it does is it's an impetus to create a new war, and it sends the rabbits into the world to go.
Start again.
Because there's just too many of you here. So go forth and procreate or whatever. Now, because of the proliferation of the internet and porn.
So much porn.
It's a way that we're not having babies anymore. It's just a way to go, I don't even want to have any babies. I just want to stick a carrot in somebody's hole
pussy
and then boil them alive, and then I can jerk off to that, or then I can diddle myself. And,
so do you think that that's because there's overpopulation?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Interesting.
That's my theory.
That's interesting. So you think
Made
of
that
like
right
other, okay.
Watership Down.
Wow. There's a few steps, but I'm there. No, look,
there might be some gaps.
I can take leaps. I can leap over gaps.
I have a degree in political science.
Parkour,
science
mental parkour. I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
To get to where you arrived.
Parkour.
Yeah.
It's It's
I remember what I learned.
It's not pon far.
No, not very pon far. I did,
which is when Spock went through.
So you are like a nerd. So you are into nerdy stuff, but like comic books and sci-fi.
I like comic
and things.
books and sci-fi, but I also like parkour because I'm not made of stone. And who doesn't want to see people jumping from one thing to the next?
What kind of YouTube videos do you like? What's your like? If you had like because there are categories, animal videos or people falling down or stuff that my friends made or music videos. Like, is there a category that's dominant on your YouTube history?
No.
What thing that someone sends you will you definitely click on or definitely watch?
I don't.
Like a cute animal thing or no?
Nope.
You're not an animal person?
I love animals. I do many bits about how people are out of their goddamn minds about animals, but I genuinely love animals, but it is not my fault that animals age before humans do. And it's very sad. And it's very sad.
So cruel.
And it's very cruel.
Yeah.
You got to have 4 or 5 cats in your lifespan, and that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
I did not make that rule. I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
the
that's
Lord.
why they have litters, you know.
Right. Right. So they have extra
plenty
ones.
of us.
Right. And it turns out cats are free. But the thing is, but
It's true. Like, you can't go to someone's lawn and just pick a lemon off their tree. But if you take a cat from their lawn, they're like, thank you.
right.
Yeah.
We have many cats in our neighborhood. Feel free to try to catch them.
Take as many as you can fit in your car.
Exactly. We
Right.
got feral cats. But, so here's my, there are things that I don't do. And one of the things I don't do is I don't watch any YouTube videos.
Really?
It's weird. I watch
Because they're
almost
not
no
appealing
television.
to you, or because you
I don't
are-
think of them.
You're just, okay, they're not in your...
Right. I don't, like I don't watch any news.
Okay.
I have BBC News as my homepage so that I can get a glimpse of what's
so
occurring.
You're reasonably, you're probably better informed than
Well, yeah,
a lot of
I
other
skim,
people.
I
that
skim
seek
and
it
then
out.
go to Facebook, or go do my chores,
Yep.
go to the bank or whatever. And, I read a lot of crap. I
What do
read
you
a lot
read?
of
What do you-
mystery novels. I read a
that's
lot of
great.
romance novels. I read a lot of science fiction
that's
novels.
fantastic.
I don't read a lot of slice of life Oprah novels.
No.
What do you read?
I read serial killer nonfiction.
Nonfiction?
No, I don't like. If I'm going to read,
Are you
fiction-
familiar with Michelle McNamara, Patton Oswalt's
Yes,
wife?
I
True Crime
love
Diary.
Michelle McNamara.
.net.
Michelle McNamara is married to Patton Oswalt, but she is such an incredible writer in her own right that I almost wish I hadn't even qualified her as being the spouse of someone else who's awesome.
Right.
But she has a website called truecrimediary.com, and she's one of those people where you're like, oh, you are going to solve cold cases. Like, this is just, you are going to solve cases because it's just a hobby, but at the same time, she's a beautiful writer.
Yep.
And she will go back
9
and talk
to 11
about
hours a day.
Yeah,
Wondering who the
every
Zodiac
once in a
killer
while
is.
call the, and it really is just, it shines such a light on how incompetent detectives are.
Right.
Because she'll reach out and they'll be like, thanks for the tip. And then she'll go and find out
Two of the favorite episodes of The Dork Forest is Michelle McNamara. She's on once a year. And
Yeah.
I check in, see if she's caught anyone.
Oh, she's about
she's
to.
close. She's close.
Is so close. She's narrowed it down to like 3 guys and she knows which one it is. it's so great talking to her because, most people are like, oh, how's the kids? And,
Right. And how's your security system
Right.
is what I always ask her.
Exactly.
Because she said
But
that.
they never kill. Do they kill the ones that are looking for them, or do they just kill like randos? It depends, I guess, on the MO of the guy. I mean,
Right. I think he'd be willing to kill her if he.
You think?
Yeah, I do. Well, because she said that Patton was on the Driving in Cars with Jerry
Yes.
Seinfeld
Yes.
show, which I've also never seen. And
I've never seen it either.
It's supposed to be great.
Who cares?
Anyway, to my knowledge, they go and get coffee and then they chat with
You know
each
what?
other. It's a lot like
I'll watch the episode I'm on. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where like, oh, have you heard about this show? And I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Am I?
I
if
on
it
it?
shows up
Who
while I'm
books that?
Googling myself, I'll fucking watch and make sure I look thin in it. But otherwise, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit.
Right. And I love the idea of podcasts, but I have explained to so many people, because you have a lovely
I
podcast.
can't
Is
listen
what
to
happened this
podcasts.
week, or this week is
Something like that. Who cares?
It's,
I mean, look.
JulieKlausner.com, you guys,
something
check
like that.
it out. It's got
Fine.
a podcast.
You know
It's
what?
great.
It's kind of weird because it's like, I don't have time to do that. Yeah, but I have time to, fucking dick around on Twitter all day. But
Right.
it is,
Everybody wastes their time in different
exactly.
ways.
And I have a hard time. The part of my brain that listens to things only, I really like listening to podcasts, but I have to be either cleaning or like there needs to be in especially in New York, it's different because you're not driving everywhere or you're not, trapped in I guess on the subway you can, but
Sure.
often the commutes are too short.
I had a woman on the show who was writing fan fiction on her iPod Touch on the subway.
That's really challenging.
That
Her
is the
fingers
most
must be
ambitious.
tiny.
Ambitious. Holy crap, she was working it. And
I love that when people who are so like eager to write just write all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
so
I wish I-
cool to me.
Yeah.
Because if you write, for a living, you turn it into work in your
Yeah.
mind. So you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to write. But the idea that you're just like so
you're like,
intent
what
on
would the
getting
Glee
this story
characters
out.
do?
That's
They
fabulous.
would blow each other. That's what they did.
I've only seen one episode of Glee.
I've never seen any. They seem very
I
nice.
saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show episode.
Oh, neat.
It was cute. It was
Yeah.
fine.
I saw the Drew Carey episode where they danced.
the episode of the Drew Carey show.
Where they danced. Yeah,
they danced in every show. Didn't they have that opening?
At least 3.
Yeah.
There were 3 full-on musical episodes.
When someone saw Drew Carey, they said, America wants to watch this man dance around. That's what America wants more than anything.
Why isn't that guy singing all the time?
He is so
why is he not
rich?
I know it.
He has so much money. Right?
Oh, I'm
He hosts
sure.
The Price is Right.
Right. That's the only writing job I ever had. Was I spent 3
true?
days in his office. He's a very good dude.
Is he a nice guy?
Yeah, he's a
that's
very
nice
good.
to hear.
He's a good person.
Because it's hard to tell what his attitude towards ladies is, I guess. Seems like he's been with a million
He's
prostitutes.
like, for me, he's the nice version of Bill Maher.
That's not saying much. That's like saying the sensitive version of Charles Manson.
Let's speak frankly about Bill Maher.
No, never.
Let's not.
That guy.
He's a piece of work.
That guy like has more in common with like Ed Gein than he does with like Dennis Miller and stuff. Like he's just.
That's a Wisconsin native, Ed Gein.
Ed Gein?
Yeah, it was. Sorry, Gein.
Gein or Gein?
We had Gein, and then we got Jeffrey Dahmer. That's who we got.
Jeffrey Dahmer's Ohio.
But he lived in Milwaukee.
He did live in Milwaukee when he killed the people. But my best
originally
friend is from Akron, the suburb of Akron where Jeffrey Dahmer grew up, which is called Bath. And there's a fabulous graphic novel that Michelle actually recommended to me called My Friend Dahmer. And my best friend Nate, who is, I love him more than anything in the world, but he's like kind of a scaredy cat when it comes to true crime stuff, and reasonably so, because he grew up like a block away from Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
And I found this graphic novel, and he's a comic book guy too, so I said, you have to see this. And he flipped through it and he goes, and there's my high school. He's like, oh, good. That's the block where my parents live. Like, cause he did research and he drew it really, really beautifully and really accurately. And it gave him nightmares. Huh? My Friend Dahmer. It's worth reading. It's really, it's well written.
Bendis wrote something called Torso. And, that's a serial killery thing as well.
Is it a fiction or nonfiction?
Yeah, I think it's fiction. Or it might,
have you ever read any of the...
All I have is, that word at this point. I've lost all knowledge.
So you read, the trashy fiction you read, do you ever do like the airport fiction of like Thomas Harris or Dan Brown or that kind of stuff?
Did Dan Brown write the
Da Vinci Code?
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, just, you know what I mean, like mass market paperback.
Right, James Patterson and Stephen King. I don't. I've been trying to read the Stephen King book for about 3 months now. The one, the 1963 one. The one about
the
time travel? Yeah.
Don't read that. Read The Shining. Read The Shining. You'll finish it in 2 days. It's not scary. Have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh, well then don't see the movie ever. But,
okay.
but the novel isn't.
Oh, it isn't? It's more of a thriller or?
It's
everything I know about Boston, by the way, Spencer for Hire novels.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. All of them. I've read all of them. All the Spencer for Hire novels.
I'm trying to think if The Shining was scary. I don't think it was that scary.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I also don't want to be responsible for you having nightmares. So.
Oh, I was scared by Shadow of the Vampire, that movie.
I don't know that movie. Who's in that? Is it
Willem Dafoe?
Oh, yeah.
It was a vampire movie.
Was that before vampires were all sexy, or they were still sexy?
No, I think it was a post, what's Anne Rice, but before
Twilight.
Buffy. And definitely before, but I like Buffy.
So William Dafoe was into killing you, not like being sexy. And
it was a silent movie. It was essentially, they were shooting a silent movie about vampires. It was based on Nosferatu.
Oh, it was Nosferatu. Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting because he looks just like Nosferatu.
Yeah, it was spooky.
He does, but in a sexy. I'd fuck him. I'd fuck William. I would fuck Willem Dafoe. I would fuck William H. Macy, and I would fuck William Hurt.
All right,
in one beautiful blonde evening. I would. I like character actors.
Oh yeah, they're better. They're certainly more interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I was very sad when Philip Seymour Hoffman died, not just because we were robbed of like our best actor generationally, but also because
you wanted to tap
like
that
he would have been amazing in bed or terrible, either one, but he would not have been boring.
Nope. He might have. I assume he would have weeded off and started doing heroin. Is what I would have.
Oh yeah, that he would fall asleep.
He was just like,
But the
Is there more drugs
the thing about what
anywhere?
was fascinating about him is what, like, he tapped into a humanity that we can all relate to because it's just like the part of ourselves that makes us uncomfortable.
Yes.
The part of ourselves that is like squidgy or itchy or sweaty or gross or just something we don't want to look at in the mirror. Like, he represented that.
He was
and he
Truman
lived it in
Capote
his skin.
to some extent.
And
where-
that too. Like, and then he could also just like play a fucking drag queen or like,
Right,
yeah.
right. He was an amazing actor. Do you ever read that Michael Caine book where he talks about actors and
No, but I heard that was
Inside the Actor?
fabulous.
It's a great book, but he talks about how some of the greatest actors are great because they are an empty vessel.
Okay.
And you just pour a script into them and then they become that person, like Tom Cruise.
Right.
Who can
he is an
be a
empty vessel for sure.
Well, yeah, but he can act very well.
But you mean
if
like
he is
Peter,
given
like Peter Sellers, like Who Are You, that kind of thing?
kind of. It's
Or,
where it's just like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's people that are amazing actors.
Yes.
Like De Niro. I don't
Yeah,
think that
no one knows who he is.
There's not a lot
But
there.
he loves black women, which I love about him.
So does Bill Maher.
Yeah, but love is like,
Well, love.
well, I love the Starbucks because I paid for it. You know what I mean?
I opened for him one time because he always has a woman open for him. Bill Maher. He always has. He likes
That's, you know what? That's better than
many people.
Good
but
for him,
and he
in
does
some
it
regards.
because he needs to. In my again speculation without any the internal workings of his brain box is that he's doing it because he needs to temper the last 20 minutes of his act.
Oh,
Right, because
really?
he did an
That's
hour.
where he just goes.
He did an hour and a half, and the last 20 minutes was entirely about how no one could make him get married.
Right.
And you're like, who is gonna?
Yeah,
you're right.
who's trying to marry you?
You are correct.
Yeah.
You're an adult man who gets
Right.
to say, "I don't wish to."
Also, yeah, exactly. What kind of masochist is like, I want to be the one for him, you know?
to marry that guy.
Come on, reconsider, Bill Maher.
Right. He did. But I was in the green room and he came up to the green room and I introduced myself and he goes, "Nice to meet you." Anyway, and he's looking like right there, like I'm a bear and he can't make eye contact. And he's like, "Hey, are you going to need this room?"
So you take your dressing room?
Yeah. And I was like, "You mean the green room?" And he
Yeah.
goes, yeah. It's just, I need this space. And I said, "Oh, there's a coat rack downstairs that I can hang out at, before the show." And he goes, Thanks
Yeah.
a lot. And he didn't even hear me. I mean, it wasn't like he was being mean.
He's socially,
He's just thoughtless.
Yeah, socially. I mean, I give people socially, I don't want
got-
to say I give him a pass, but I will say the fact that he booked you, I am already, leaps and bounds more impressed than I would have been.
Well, I mean, he
otherwise.
always almost every woman comic out in different areas. He'll book. It's like
Good.
I think Karen Rontowski opened for him and Madigan.
Great.
Everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
and
just-
I will say that that Vice show is like, that's doing social. Is it doing social good? It is. Because it's like showing
show?
us things that we don't know. The Vice TV show that he produces, it's after his show. Have you guys seen any of it?
no. What is
It's not, if you're in a bad mood, do not watch an episode of it because it will make you feel a lot worse about the way the world is. But it does expose things that you wouldn't ordinarily know about things that are going on in third world countries and human rights violations.
Oh, really? Oh, so it's sort of about investigative journalism
It's
kind
like
of
hipster
sitch?
60 Minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds
So,
admirable.
in a way good for him, but he does seem like a terrible person.
Yeah, he's not a guy you want to hang out with, but he's a guy that you like there are plenty of comics that I hang out with or that I've tolerated a great deal from because they're hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get away with murder if you're funny.
Right, you're right. But if once your crazy outweighs your hilarity, we're done.
But it's also like we have the internal advantage of knowing the difference between somebody enjoying somebody's personality in quotes on stage versus actually wanting to spend any time with them whatsoever when they are not on stage.
Right. What did Tina Fey said something along the lines of, "I'm willing to watch that person on television. I'm not going to work with them."
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, someone else wants to
or
work
just
with
hang
them.
out with them, like have a 5-minute conversation. Like, no, I hung out with you enough when I was in the audience and I got to watch your personality from a safe distance.
Yeah, I don't need even
No,
a picture. I'm
not
good.
at all.
So what, so you like the true crime?
Yes, I
like-
read true crime stuff. Yeah.
You were talking about, other, like there were musicians that you mentioned.
I'm obsessed with Alice Cooper right now.
Okay.
Love
Is he
Alice
still
Cooper.
alive?
He is still alive. There's
All
a
right.
documentary about him that just came out called, or it was it was a film festival, so it's going to be out. So hopefully sooner than later. It's called Super Duper Alice Cooper. I loved it.
Super duper Alice
Yeah,
Cooper?
yeah. It's great. He's
awesome.
fucking fascinating. And I'm just absolutely like, that's what I'm watching on YouTube more than anything else. It's old, performances of his from the early mid 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. Love Alice Cooper.
I don't know anything. He wears makeup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There has to be more going on.
You'd be surprised. There's not much more going on than that. I mean, like, he's mostly a man of surface. Like, I hate to say it. He's not Bob Dylan. Like,
where's he from?
Well, he was born in Detroit and then he grew up in Arizona. He was a preacher's son.
Oh, wow.
His dad was a pastor or minister or something.
Okay. And then he was in, he's a musician.
Yeah. He was in a band. They went to LA. Like Frank Zappa discovered them. They were in like the Laurel Canyon kind of scene.
Okay.
And they got makeovers from this interesting group of gals called the Girls Together Outrageously, which were like Pamela Des Barres and Miss Cynthia. And they were these really kind of, out there gals, and they put makeup on them and they put them in Ice Capades uniforms that they found at like a vintage store. And
so it was like a group of women who essentially dressed their little brothers
pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
Exactly what happened. And then they Frank Zappa signed them. They released one shitty album and then they kind of burned out in LA. Nobody liked them. So they said, we're going to go on the road, and the first town that gives us a standing ovation, we're going to stay. And that was Detroit. And then they were in Detroit for a while, and then he kind of broke out as like the lead guy, and the band kind of went their separate ways, and he's had a solo career, and it was just all theatricality. It was all like, what can we do that hasn't been done before? And very visual, no one really is into Alice Cooper for the songs. I'll put it that way.
right. It's not,
but the more you listen to them, the better they are. But but it's more about watching him and like the way he moves, the way he sings, the way he looks. It's just, he's an American treasure.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Because he is, and then there was someone else you mentioned.
Well, I'm a big Bette Midler fan.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Bette Midler. I grew up with her work, again in the 80s when she had her comeback.
Yeah. Did you see her on the Oscars?
I did. She looks great.
She looked ridiculous.
Fantastic.
She looked better than me.
I know, it's not fair.
Yeah, and she's approximately 37 years older than all of us.
And she looked fabulous.
She looked fabulous.
And sounds fabulous. Like she's never had well, the thing that's interesting about her singing voice is that she's got incredible power, but it never seems like she's straining.
Yeah.
Like it almost seems too easy for her. Like she just kind of is at this place where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. And you're not sweating.
Right.
So that if she is at her age and she sounds as good, it's like, oh yeah, you've been protecting your voice this whole time.
Right.
She'll give what looks like 1,000% from someone else, but for her, she just kind of like goes to sleep and does the same thing the next day.
Yeah.
So her 70s performances when she'd get up there and really scream and like be kind of rock and roll, it was, there was always like a self-preservation to it. There was always a strength to her.
Yeah.
That, you couldn't, she and Cher are both like tough as
it's like her, Cher, and Joan Rivers.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can't knock those bitches down for
They are in for
pillars.
the duration.
No, they're pillars.
Yeah,
they're pillars.
It's just like,
and the
they
great thing
will work
about
forever.
They will work forever. And the nice thing about those three women is like they've never had. I don't want to say they've never had vulnerability as much as they've never apologized for anything because they just never felt like they had to.
That's it.
It was like Cher was the first person to be like, "Oh yeah, I've had plastic surgery. What the fuck does that matter to you?" Like,
right. What do you care?
Thank you for noticing that I've slept with a lot of men. Like, yeah, I'm wearing something crazy. Do you have any questions?
Did you want to know where I got it?
Yeah.
You
this
can't
guy
afford
named
it.
Bob Mackey. Yeah. No, but like just that unapologetic kind of like.
Yeah, they're living their lives very much on their terms, which more people, I mean, they're beautiful role models
Yeah,
for just
I think
going,
so too.
I'm going to do what I want to do.
Absolutely.
And I hope you enjoy it.
They're always the subject. They're never the object. There's never like the tragedies of like, that you're Marilyn Monroe's and to some extent like.
Tina Turner and.
Tina Turner was very much like, she started out in a completely different world, and it's so much harder for women of color. My God, what is it? 40 Feet from Stardom, that documentary.
Oh, right,
Did you guys see that?
20
that
feet?
was another 20 Feet from Stardom. Yep. My God, what an education and like how tough it is for women and especially women of color. But that said, no, I love those gals. I love any kind of like tough broads that, that do something that's interesting, I should say.
Yeah. And I like the idea that they don't, because it's justification, because I spend a good portion of my time just going, wait, I'm not gonna, because whenever anybody asks me what it's like to be a woman comic, what it's like to be a woman.
And don't you love that?
Then
you love that question. What a great question. What a great conversation that opens.
Oh, Christ, and you're just like, well, I've never been a white man doing stand-up comedy, so I don't know what's it like to be a white man.
Like. Must be nice.
And
The answer is it's great.
Much like being a white man, nobody is handing me 20s under the table.
Yeah.
So there's no, I mean, everybody's journey is so hard
Yeah,
to
it's
some
true.
extent that you're like, yeah, it's work. It turns
Yeah.
out to
Yeah.
do the thing that you want to do. But thank God, you can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we live. Oh, say
Uh-oh.
can you?
Here we go.
No, but yeah, I mean, we get to do shit.
Yeah. No, you're
So
right.
it's amazing.
We're incredibly privileged.
Yeah,
We're
so it's-
very, very lucky.
It's all working out.
It's going great. Everything's going really, really well.
Everything is awesome. Everything is great when you're part of a team. Okay, who saw the Lego movie? Anyone? There we go. Just
What? That was
good
a
for me.
really abrupt pivot.
'Cause that's where that song is from.
Lego movie?
It's the only
is that
song
what
that
that's
is in the
from?
Lego.
Oh, I didn't
It's the
know.
only- Yeah, you
That
know.
movie made so much money.
Did it?
Yeah.
All right, Julie Klausner.
Yes.
We have dorked around. That's what we've done. We've
Is
dorked
that true?
around.
That's why I feel the way I do.
That's what it is. Because we've talked about some things that you like to talk about.
Yes.
Do you feel like you got to vent a little bit?
A little bit. I could talk for so much longer, but we're not going anywhere. We're just going to not have microphones near our faces.
Right. And people should listen to your podcast.
I wish they would.
And you should call it "I Wish They Would."
I wish they would.
It's what's the name of it again?
How was your week?
How is your week?
Yeah.
And it's a
Thank
good
you.
one. There you go. People love it. People love it.
Thank you.
Billy on the Street, and
Yes.
you and Billy are going to be doing a sitcom, right?
We sold the show. We sold the pilot.
Sold the
God
pilot.
willing, from my mouth to God's ears, it will be a show one day.
Right.
Series.
So you're going to make the pilot.
So we're going to make the pilot. Yeah.
And what is the pilot called?
It's called Difficult People.
Difficult People, and it is clearly fiction because you play, I believe, best friends who only like each other.
Yes, exactly. And we play
Yes.
Billy and Julie, and we're struggling comedians in New York City who hate absolutely everybody. And we're bitter about everyone's successes.
Wow, where did you come up with that? Anyway,
I imagineered it.
and you sold the pilot to which division
USA.
of USA Network?
USA,
Because
yeah.
they're like characters, you guys.
Characters welcome.
And
we knew the characters were welcome, and we were a couple characters, and we came in, and they were like, "Welcome."
This, and I enjoyed your book so much.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, so
I put everything left everything on the page.
That's it. Why not? You're just like, well,
if you have a chance to write a book, don't phone it in. That's my advice. Books last longer than, web series, and podcasts and things.
because the grid will go down, ladies and gentlemen. But movable type will always be out there for us. You guys, do you have any questions? Anybody have a question for Julie Klausner? Oh, really? What is your name? Hi, Meredith.
Should we mic her or do it
I don't know.
matter?
Sure. What the heck? I'll go out into the
Are
woods.
we going to edit this part out or? No, I'm just
I don't
kidding.
know. Sure, I can.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Mildly stalking you this weekend.
Perfect.
I went to Amy Sedaris last night.
Oh, you
It's
did?
wonderful.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I'm just wondering, with the success of the TV show, probably, most likely.
God willing.
Hopefully. I'm wondering if you're concerned about any more identity crisis from Jimmy.
Jimmy's changing every day. Like, I got a text yesterday. Someone was watching him and they said that he wanted to do drag and he wanted to be known as Jimberly, which was disturbing to me. This is my cat. My cat goes through a couple phases.
Oh.
Sometimes he wants to
Fair
be
enough.
called
What kind of
Josh.
cat do you have?
He's a tuxedo cat. At one point he wanted to be called Josh because he wanted a bar mitzvah. He thought that sounded cool. And then I don't know how, but he watched an episode of that show Sons of Anarchy and he thought it would be cool to be called Jax. His name is Jimmy. And then
Is he 13?
Yes.
That's why he wanted a bar mitzvah.
He's constantly 13. He's like he's an adolescent. He acts like a little boy, but he also thinks he's a man.
All right.
Yeah.
A
But thank you for
man-child.
asking. That was a really stupid question, which I appreciated very much.
Does anybody else want to bring it up? Anybody got anything? We're all good?
Questions,
Oh, you
lady
got
in
one?
the blue? Do I need an extra?
Walk-ons.
Always,
Right.
always. I always
It's,
need an extra to walk.
All right.
on. Yes.
That woman
and a stand-in.
networking now.
Yeah,
Good for
let
you.
the
man.
networking commence.
Good
I came
for
to the
you.
Women in Comedy Festival to do some networking and kick some ass, and I'm all out of networking.
You. All right. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
doing
for
the
having
show,
me.
you guys. Thank you so much for supporting Alive Dork Forest. Take care of yourselves out there. Good night.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?